Over the course of this year, 80s hair metal icons Mötley Crüe have been releasing some new music. 3 songs that comprise a new EP, the latest of which recently dropped. And with each release, my reaction has been a very simple, what? The Crüe has been in a very strange place these last few years. They retired a little less than a decade ago, making a big show of it with the farewell tour. They signed a contract saying they'd never tour again, did a bunch of interviews where they said they weren't like Kiss, they weren't going to do a farewell tour, and then just keep touring. Not too long after this farewell tour, a biopic about the band was released on Netflix called The Dirt, based on the book of the same name. It was a pretty awful movie and widely disliked, but the Crüe used it as an excuse to start touring again, claiming that the film made them a bunch of new fans. They joined forces with fellow hair metal giants Def Leppard for a massive worldwide stadium tour that, while initially delayed by COVID, was massively successful. But there was still drama because it's Mötley Crüe and there is always controversy and drama. Guitarist Mick Mars decided to step down from touring due to health reasons and was quickly replaced by Rob Zombie guitarist John Five. John Five had been friends with bassist Nikki Sixx for years and had worked with the band on some new tracks they cut for the biopic soundtrack. The controversy is that Mars later alleged that the band used his stepping down as an excuse to push him out of the band, mainly financially resulting in a lawsuit. Sixx publicly shot back, basically attacking Mars, criticizing both his memory and guitar playing. Which, if it was true that Mars was losing himself physically and mentally, I wouldn't air that dirty laundry publicly if I was Sixx. But that's just me. I also find it funny that Sixx literally has Mars's face tattooed on his leg. It happened on Kat Von D's old show, who Sixx dated for a little while. Kinda paints this picture of a band that can't help but be dysfunctional. And once they got off the road, they signed a new record deal. Made a big dumb video about it too. They signed with Big Machine Records, which is run by this guy named Scott Borchetta, who I only know because he's a villain in the Taylor Swift story. Swift was signed to Big Machine for her first 6 albums. And then Big Machine was bought by a company owned by this guy Scooter Braun, someone Swift claims incessantly bullied her and was apparently involved in the Kanye West feud. Most notably, the Kanye West music video that features a nude mannequin of Swift. Swift said that she was never given the opportunity to buy her masters and they became owned by someone pretty shitty. Suffice to say, I don't think this is the company I'd sign with. For decades, Mötley just kinda did things themselves. They got their masters in the late 90s and basically controlled everything. Why they would backtrack into a record deal with this company of all things and sell their masters is beyond me. I guess money talks? Fair enough. But enough of all that context. Who cares about the band member drama or signing with a record label that kinda sucks and screwed over the biggest musical act in the world right now? I just want to hear some tunes. New guitar player, new record label, new Crüe. Yeah, the most remarkable thing about this is the weird-looking animated music video, which a lot of people seem to think was AI. I also saw some people say the music was AI. While Sixx and the music video's director seem pretty pro-AI, they deny it was used for this. But they basically flat out say they could use it in the future. The song was inspired by a line of dialogue Sixx heard in The Handmaid's Tale. It's a pretty basic anthem, don't let the bastards get you down. The video has a Mötley Crüe can't die kind of theme to it. One might argue that big corporations screwing over artists would be a perfect example of a bastard getting you down, but what do I know? The song itself is just kind of blah. It's obviously pretty driven by John Five, a pretty heavy and dark song, which isn't that weird for the band, but it always sounds a little off when Vince Neil is singing. It reminds me of the Generation Swine stuff that was clearly written for John Corabi's voice, but Neil ended up singing. There's a weird disconnect. A lot of what made the band work in the 80s was this fun combination of heaviness and pop that was balanced well. You had Mars's down-tuned guitars, Tommy Lee's heavy drumming, and Sixx's pop-punk hooks that worked so well with Neil's voice. And I don't know, I just don't feel it here. Nothing like offensively bad or anything, but certainly far from this band's best work. And then we get the second single. This makes me cringe. Fight for Your Right was a huge hit for the Beastie Boys back in the 80s, and for some reason, Crüe has made covering 80s hits a thing they do now. They covered Like a Virgin for the Dirt soundtrack. I don't get what that's about. Where to even start with this one? Well, for one, This song is commonly perceived as parody of frat bro behavior and party rock anthems. You know, the exact kind of behavior and songs Mötley Crüe were famous for. There's no real irony in this version. It comes across as just a generic Motley party song, but made weird by the reality of how fucking old these guys are. Hearing lines like, "Your mom threw away your best porno mag," sung by a 20-year-old, is very different from hearing it sung by a 63-year-old. It's just weird and disingenuous. And then there's the production, which is the real killer here. It's so overproduced to the point of just being obnoxious noise. John 5 practically vomits guitar notes throughout the entire song, some of it while Neil is singing, and it's just irritating. It doesn't sound good, it's not exciting, there's no energy. It's processed to the point of being the musical equivalent of fast food. If you converted how a McDonald's hamburger patty is made to a song, I think this is what it would sound like. But at least a Big Mac tastes good. This is painfully bad, and the negative response was swift and immediate. Every single YouTube comment is negative. Maybe I was kind of nice to Dogs of War, because it seems like a masterpiece compared to this. Embarrassing. And then we get to the final and newest song, which is simultaneously the best of the three songs, and also the most confusing. So much so, it inspired me to make this video as soon as I heard it. I just had to talk about it. So to get the nice things out of the way, this is the best one of these musically. Really cool riffs, a solid groove from Lee, and a good guitar solo. But what we have to talk about are the lyrics. This whole EP started because Six needed to write a song about cancel culture. Why, I do not know, but that's where we are. Rich old people yelling at clouds in a song. I generally never like when artists choose to go this direction. I've grown to quite like Taylor Swift as an artist, but I still really dislike the material that is clearly about her Twitter haters. But to be fair to Swift, she has some intense haters. If you think her fans are crazy, her haters are even crazier. But Mötley Crüe? Do they have haters? Does anyone care enough about Mötley Crüe to cancel them? Also, they're like the prime example of people that do really bad shit and get away with it with little to no consequences because of their fame and wealth. Also, is cancel culture still a thing? I'm not on social media very much outside of Instagram and YouTube. Hi, thanks for being here. So maybe I'm just not seeing it, but like, when's the last time someone got canceled? Even the song's concept feels irrelevant and out of date, which I guess fits modern Mötley Crüe like a glove. In 8 years, they're gonna write a song called Hawk Tuah. But that's just the idea of the song. Let's deep dive into these lyrics. Cause there's something. It starts as you would expect, oh, you can't say anything these days, kinda nonsense. And then the first verse goes off the rails.
Right in the Capitol, press in the grapple. TikTok videos smell like landfill.
Quick question. What does the January 6th riot have to do with cancel culture? What are you even trying to say there? Man, I woke up today and got canceled, and there's a riot in the Capitol. Like, what? What's happening? And then what's with the TikTok dig? Do people get canceled on TikTok? I thought that was a Twitter thing. Don't people just like dance and flirt with Death Eaters at theme parks on TikTok? It's kind of funny to see Mötley Crüe become the old people that used to complain about them back in the 80s. The chorus I actually think is okay. The line, "Will you love me when I die," is solid. When celebrities die, I do kind of notice they become off limits in regards to criticism. It's a good line with an actual point that makes sense. While we're being nice, the second verse has one line that actually works. Take a shot, it's a masquerade. One of the things about cancel culture is that there was a decent number of people who cared less about the cause or issues they were yelling about and more about looking good. There's a look at me element to it, and then patting yourself on the back for your good deed of the day. So this is a good line that I think makes an actual observation of cancel culture as opposed to whining that you can't speak your mind. And then the song goes off the rails again. I feel like I shouldn't be surprised Mötley Crüe is pro-rape culture. I get that Six is trying to make people mad, he's trying to get a reaction, and in fairness, I fell for his trap, I'm talking about it, but I'm not mad or clutching my pearls, I'm just confused and annoyed. And the main reaction I've seen is people either rolling their eyes or actively laughing at Mötley Crüe. The biggest irony for me is that Six is guilty of the things he's complaining about. Just as an example, Gene Simmons of Kiss made some insensitive and stupid comments about Prince when he passed, and Six was very loud on social media, calling Simmons out, canceling him. And now he's writing Speak Your Mind Might Get Cancelled? It's just lame, which describes the entire EP. Lame, confused, and tired. It reminds me of those Netflix comedy specials. They're all the same, they all star some bald white dude, and they're all called Triggered. And the comedy is just the dude saying something mildly offensive, and then pausing for gasp of outrage and pearl clutching. Weak.